odds are the device you're using to watch this video right now is a touchscreen. And if it's not, I can almost guarantee that you've used a touchscreen today. But how do touchscreens actually work? How does your phone know exactly where you're clicking on your phone? Is there like a camera looking exactly where you make contact? Not quite. Hi, my name is Callum, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the elegant and brilliant ingenuity of touchscreens. Now, the short answer to how your phone understands where you are interacting with it is constantly and consistently searching for disturbances in an E field. What does that mean? Okay, well, here I've done my best to kind of illustrate it, but essentially on top of the actual display on your device, there's a thin layer, and within that layer there is a positively charged grid and a negatively charged grid, and there's some distance in between them, as I've kind of denoted with these brackets here. There is distance in between them. However, the distance is very small, very small. And so what happens when you have a positively charged surface and a negatively charged surface with some separation in between? Well, naturally they're attracted to each other, but they're kept away, like physically they're restrained from each other. What ends up happening is something called an E field is formed, or an electric field. Now, this E field is so we usually denote it in the direction a proton would behave, a positively charged particle. So in this case, the E field would be kind of running downward like this. Reason being is if I were to place a proton in between these two plates, it would want to go away from the positive, because positive and positive repel, and negative and positive are attracted. So there's kind of two reasons the proton is moving downward. Now, what your phone is doing is it is constantly scanning this grid, first in this direction and then this direction, right? Your X and Y plane. Now, what it's scanning for is it's making sure that the E field is constant throughout the whole thing. Now, if nothing here is interacting with our top grid or our bottom grid, no matter where I scan, if I scan this way in the Y direction, if we were to tilt our axis, I'm calling this the Y direction, and this our X direction, there will be no disturbances. Nothing is interacting with it. Everything is as it should be. However, the second that I make contact with, let's say, the positive side, now I am disturbing the E field. Why? Well, as a human being, I am an electrically charged thing. The second I make contact with this positive plate, I am pulling in electrons, because the electrons want to get away from each other. So they're constantly looking for a way to get away from their neighbor, and they see me as something that is making physical contact with them as a means to do that. So when I actually make contact, let's say right here, my phone, when I make contact here, the E field maybe gets a little weaker compared to around it. So first, we have scanning in the X direction. So now we have an X coordinate, right? We'll call it right here. And now we have a Y coordinate as the phone scans here. And if we simply draw those two kind of going across, we have an exact location of where I made contact with the phone. So leaving your phone completely alone, not touching it, you are pretty much just leaving the E field undisturbed. It's constant at every single point along your screen. And the second you make contact, that's when you cause a disturbance. Your phone scans it, detects it, and gives your whatever your processor is the exact coordinates of where contact was made. And so this all happens so fast to the point where your phone can essentially detect multiple touches at once, right? So if I touch here and here, then my phone will scan this way, and it'll output two coordinates. Now, your phone the scanning doesn't understand that it's a touch. It just, all it says is that there is a disturbance at these two coordinates, and then it gives those coordinates to your processor, and the processor is like, oh, disturbances means that there's a touch. So let me relay that information to whatever app, website, anything that you're using. Now, despite the brilliant ingenuity of that honestly simple system, there's a crucial flaw that I think everyone has experienced, which is exploited by water. Now, the issue with water is that it also, like us, conducts electricity. Well, at least the water that we use every single day. Pure water does not, but the minerals and whatnot in the water that we drink and bathe in and whatnot does conduct electricity. So when your phone is in contact, or I should say when the water makes contact with your screen, it also causes disturbances. And since it kind of spreads out a little bit, your phone is detecting a ton of touches all at once, just repeatedly. It's equivalent to having like a ton of fingers touching the screen at once. Your phone doesn't really know what to do. Hence, your phone a lot of the time starts to kind of freak out and open stuff that it shouldn't. I really hope this video was a simple and easy way to understand how something that you use every single day actually works. And if you guys have any questions, I urge you guys to leave them in the comments or look them up yourselves and keep learning.